Hello. Today's May 28th, 2024, and today I want to do a little bit of epistemology. Woo! Yeah, or otherwise the theory of knowledge. How do we know things, and all those sorts of kinds of things. If you've watched a journal before, you probably know that I'm very interested in this stuff. And, when you ask the question, how do we come to know things? Not why do we know them or when, but how do we? I would say that there's a big four in terms of like the operations that we use in order to come to know things or propositions, whatever you really want to say. And those big four are testimony, otherwise known as when you take someone's word for something, like, hey, this burger spot's pretty good, go try it out. And, well, I guess that wouldn't necessarily be one. Let me rewind and say, my car is red. Something very much more simple. If it's like a friend of yours, you'd probably believe them, and I think it's fair to say that you know that their car is red. So there's testimony. And then there's induction or inference. A scientist does research on, some bacteria and finds that the bacteria, if it's in food, the food's contaminated, something like that. The scientists did the inferencing and they know that that bacteria is unsafe to eat. Then there's deduction or logic. This is like when you figure out that 2 + 2 = 4. Things like this. It's not an inference. You're more or less observing the world or the universe in a specific way. And then last but not least, and this is the crux of this video here is memory. You remember what your 8th birthday was like, and therefore you know what it was like. Or you might remember what you had for lunch yesterday, and you remember that you had, sushi for lunch yesterday. I need to have sushi. It's been quite a bit. But, yeah, and that's sort of where I want to touch today. I think memory is one that, as I was getting into epistemology, memory is one that I felt was very, very critiquable. It's one that I think is pretty indefinite, and there's lots of error. The scope of error within memory is quite large. This is why we have all sorts of psychological phenomena about memory. Sometimes we might believe that something was worse than it was, and all those sorts of kinds of things. And so therefore, when I think back to, an excruciatingly hard workout, in reality, it might not have been that hard, and so therefore I don't know that workout was that hard, because in order to know something, it has to be true. I'm assuming that. Feel free to debate me. But yeah, so memory is very, very critiquable. And I think when it's coupled with skepticism, and especially epistemological skepticism, that we can't know much else, memory is one that I think is very easy to attack for the skeptic. And so this leads me to Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, I normally play music my whole entire shift because I'm in there the whole day. And so I had chosen to play like the Beatles' entire discography for my shift, and Twist and Shout came on, and I'm working and all that, and then a few hours later I go to the bathroom, and I thought that I could hear Twist and Shout on again, which wouldn't have been too much of a surprise because I probably have it added in there a few times. I'm a very disorganized playlist maker, but I checked my phone and it wasn't on. And so I was just hearing it in my mind. And this is something that I think memory is, it's just very tricky for me. And that's really all I wanted to talk about, because I remember Twist and Shout by the Beatles so vividly. I've heard it so many times in my life since I've really been growing up. And, it's in multiple movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, It's very catchy. I know things about it, like John Lennon had a cold or he was sick while recording it, and that's why it sounds the way that it does, and all those sorts of things. Like, that song seems to me, because of memory, just hearing it over and over again, remembering myself hear it, I can like play the entire song in my head, and I feel as if I know that Twist and Shout by the Beatles is a certain way, with certain vocals and certain harmonies and all that sort of thing. And I almost feel that this memory of mine is so vivid, and yet I have no memory either of me creating the song, that in a way my memory of Twist and Shout by the Beatles sort of justifies me more than I have thought prior to this. It justifies me more about belief in the external world outside of my mind. I'm not a solipsist or anything like that. I practically act as if the external world exists quite a bit, but yeah, skepticism is strong, and this memory facet here helps me justify it. So if you're into this sort of thing, let me know what you think about that. That was probably a bit too roundabout to get to the point. Too long-winded would be the better word, but hopefully you stuck around for it. And besides that, today, and really since I've recorded the last journal, I've just been keeping my head down, really. Trying to enjoy life for the most part, but also just working and preparing to move, which is tomorrow. So there probably won't be a journal tomorrow, but I'm moving. I'm helping move my mom to her new house, and I think I've got to move my stuff to my grandparents' house because my girlfriend's house was flooded and I can't put it in there yet because the floors are still gone. They don't exist right now. Which I didn't mention that. I don't think on the journal. So, that's another reason why I was feeling down. Is just I knew that my move out was a bit complicated. So my throat is drying up quite a bit. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace and love.